The damage from the beer can was negligible, essentially nothing, and he knows full well what was reasonably expected.
Deep in the heart of Texas.
We're in the business of winning.
Don't bet against me.
I don't bet anyway.
Lose your life.
All right, I had to do a Rajah Jackson video. I'm sure most of you have heard of this incident, what happened. It's a little over a week old now. Um, and I've been following it. It involves the MMA and the pro wrestling world, as well as streaming. So it's really gone viral, and I've been keeping tabs on it. I've heard all the takes. I went back and rewatched the stream. I've heard everyone's angle on it, and so I thought I've been keeping up with it so much, might as well make a video of it. But I'm not gonna really recap it or anything. What kind of piqued my interest to do this video is the aftermath or the second wave of what's coming, right? The sort of fallout and almost the sort of legal and technical aspect of it in terms of who's liable, right? And if you've ever seen The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, there's sort of like this triangular standoff right now where the three parties are going to each try and push as much blame onto the other two respectively, right? The promotion will be doing that to Stu and Rajah. Rajah will be doing that to Stu in the promotion, and Stu will be doing that to Rajah in the promotion, right? And just so everyone is clear, I think it's attempted murder on Rajah's part. Had he not been stopped, he would have killed that man in the ring that night right there. So that's just where I stand on it. Ultimately, right, Stu is the victim here. That is what people seem to, not everybody, right? I say people. Most people agree with me that Rajah is the main person to blame here, right? But where I'm getting interested, right, where I'm trying to get to is that people are beginning to, again, because we kind of now it's the next phase of the game here where, people are going to try and wiggle out and give themselves outs from liability and accountability, right? And so Stu is the victim here. That's where I'm going to be coming from. And although most people agree with me, I still don't see them pinning just a couple things down that I've noticed that kind of also motivated me to do this video. This post by Rampage today as well. I think Stu also went home today, or he's out of the ICU, one or the other, so he's doing better. And the guy who actually stopped him, the main guy with the sort of long ponytail mohawk, he confirmed, this is him, this is what he said, that there is an investigation and Rajah probably will be arrested soon or in the next couple of days. So I hope that's true. We'll see what happens. And again, this whole thing is kind of just what, obviously I've been following it. Let's make a video of it. And these sort of few things are bugging me, right? And so I've gone back, I've watched the stream again and people's takes, and there's two main things I want to get at, right? Two things that people seem to be forgetting or not pointing out directly, right? One of them is, what was the actual damage done to Rajah when Stu hit the beer can over his head? What was the actual intent to that? How did Rajah feel about that? And what was the actual damage done to him? We're going to get into that. And then the other thing kind of goes along with this post, right, is that people are trying to leave this wiggle room, at least if you're on Rajah's side, of what exactly did he know, what was allowed, what was too far, what's allowed in pro wrestling, what isn't, what is a tag, what is a receipt, what is a get back, right? And how much did Rajah know of that when willingly putting himself into a situation where he was going to do something to another person? And then, of course, how much did the promotion know about Rajah and what he knew about these things, right? So everyone's kind of saying, well, who really knew anything, right? In a way, right? And that's kind of bugging me a little bit as well. That's kind of what Chael's Sonnen's take was like. It's all kayfabe and it's all a work and a shoot, right? So first of all, in terms of that, like, people do not go to the ICU over works and shoots and get backs and tag backs, right? I don't think I've ever seen that. I'm sure there's incidents of wrestlers actually fighting each other, but not in a sense of when they offer themselves up to you in the ring and they are defenseless, that is not your green light to mean a tag back means to beat you within an inch of your life and go to the ICU, right? Even Raja knows that, right? Let's not forget, Raja is 25. He is very connected to the MMA world and the entertainment world. If you don't know that wrestling isn't fake by the time you're out of junior high, you definitely know it by the time you're out of high school, if not by the time you're out of your 20s or college, if not by the time you're 25, right? So there's no way in my mind that I'm ever going to think he didn't know there was a difference, right? And the fact that when have you ever seen that like to let someone get over on you or a tag back or a seat means to put them in the ICU, right? So we're going to go over that. Exactly who knew what. More specifically from Raja, right? This is who they're going to try and say, well, he thought getting a tag back meant he could kind of go at him, and there's a few things said here, right? Obviously, they're going to kind of use to their defense, right? But so let's get into the first one, right? I want Raja to tell me, in his own words, right? I'm going to be the law representation of Stu, right? Can you put into words for me when you got hit with the beer can, right? And even we'll say after you guys kind of got face to face and you backed away from each other, right? What did your head feel like? What was the damage done to you? Can you tell me exactly how hurt or threatened or harmed you were in your own words?
That shit pissed me off, bro. It didn't even hurt. It just pissed me off.
All right, it didn't even hurt. It just made me mad, right? Okay, so again, that's very, it's a huge, it's a lot of words. You just said a lot there, right? You're not hurt. You're not physically hurt. You are just mad. What do you think the proper repercussions for just being mad at someone are, right? What do you think would be a reasonable response for just being mad at someone after the incident took place an hour and a half ago, correct? So that's important, right? Another thing they're going to try and say, Raja was concussed previously. I don't know if it was a couple days or like a week before, where he went to an actual MMA gym. He knows what an actual MMA gym looks like. And a guy kicked him in the head and he wobbled and he definitely got concussed, right? And they're going to say, well, the beer can, he was concussed, and Stu didn't know that, right? There's no way of Stu knowing that, but he was concussed and you hit him, and it was even worse than just like, even if it was real or fake, it was even worse, right? Than if you had just hit him normally, right? Even though Raja already said it didn't hurt, they're going to also bring that in, right? And so before he even walks into the event, Raja is out there with his camera by himself. He even says that he's aware that he has a concussion, right? So you are willingly putting yourself into this environment knowing that your head is fucked up, in his own words, as we're going to see here in just a second.
Does my head hurt? Yes.
Does my head hurt? Yes. He is referencing, they were talking about it, they were referencing his head being hurt in terms of the concussion he previously had, right? We'll continue.
No, he didn't make it worse.
No, he didn't make it worse. The beer can did not make his concussion worse.
That shit didn't even hurt.
Again, confirming it didn't even hurt. It didn't even hurt so much so that it made his concussion worse. So literally, it's like he got hit with less than nothing.
He didn't make it worse. This shit is already fucked up.
It didn't make it worse. It was already fucked up, right? Though that is a huge admission right there. In terms of, we want to get to the next phase, which is the gray area. Who knew what was allowed, what was proper, correct? So putting all that to the side, right? The gray area that we're about to get into, there is already an understanding and an admission that Raja was never harmed physically. He never actually felt pain. He, maybe for a split second he thought he'd been fucked up and he was in danger, or that there was a threat or something like that, right? But obviously quickly he would understand no pain has actually been dealt out, which actually is a good defense for Stu as well, that in that quote, right, Rampage kind of admits, or he didn't admit, he says that if Stu had not been drunk and hit my son with a real beer can, irrelevant. Even if he was drunk, your son admit it didn't hurt. And real or not, your son admitted it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt so much so it didn't even make his concussion worse. So imagine if you have a headache or a migraine and someone goes to do that over your head and it doesn't make it any worse. I mean, that's like getting a pillow pressed against your face, essentially. I'm sure it was a little more than that, right? But for him to say that not only did it not hurt, he said it twice, it didn't even make his situation worse. It didn't even make his concussion worse, right? That's a big admission that a lot of people aren't nailing down, right? So that brings us into the next area, right? What can we reasonably assume, right? Even giving Raja a charitable understanding and a charitable sympathy of his position, what would be a reasonable response from Raja? What could we reasonably expect a reaction to be from Raja, given what we just established, right? There's no way in any person's right mind that after you admit it didn't hurt, that you then proceed to act like that. That what he did to Stu in the ring, where he beat him within an inch of his life, over essentially being disrespected, over essentially the fact that someone did something to him he didn't like, it didn't harm him, didn't hurt him, he didn't like the way it went down, he didn't like the way it looked, maybe he felt he was being picked on in some kind of way, right? But no harm was done to him. You come back an hour and a half later, an hour and a half plus, and you do that to someone. Can we assume that that's a reasonable response, even if we give the most charitable interpretation to what Raja is saying? You know, essentially he just had his feelings hurt. Is that worthy of what he did? No, right? Again, had Raja in the moment done something, a push, a shove, maybe a punch, maybe a tackle, you know, okay, fine, I'm with you, that's okay, right? Like, I get in that moment, you know, you feel that way, and that is reasonable, right? But once you've assessed the situation and you realize you weren't hurt at all, in your own words, what kind of response can we actually assume from you, right? And so putting the sort of wrestling part aside for a second, the entertainment part, right? If we were to do this in public, correct? Someone did that to you in public, and then they made you take 5 seconds out, assess what happened. You say, wow, I'm not hurt at all. I got maybe some beer vapor over me. What do you think is a reasonable response to get that person back, right? Oh, well, maybe they should have it done to them. Maybe I should dump some water on their head or something like that, right? It'd be minuscule, right? And so even just going off a sort of baseline understanding of what is an equal retaliation, correct? In what world could you ever misunderstand what would be an equal get back or receipt or tag back, right? And so the next thing is, I'm not going to show all the timestamps for these, but a lot of people are saying, well, maybe he doesn't quite know the difference, the inside baseball, the wrestling terms, the way it actually works in terms of like inside the ring and pro wrestling per se. And so maybe there's like a misunderstanding, right? So first of all, I've already told you he's 25 years old. Second of all, there's plenty of timestamps in here where he, in explicit terms, understands the difference between MMA, real, staged, things that are supposed to be scripted or not. He admits that his friend trains MMA but does, wrestling. He knows very well, at least on some basic level, that this is scripted, it's staged, that they're not really hitting each other per se, right? They're not really. There's even a scene here where his buddy is in his match and he gets a guy kind of like in a leg lock on the ground and he's just beating his knee, right? He's just punching his knee like this and he's laughing. Raja's laughing, right? He knows this is fake. He knows that this is not real, right? And there's even another one in here, and he even sort of explains that they knew that he was not a wrestler, right? Like, so he admits that as well. Again, admitting that Stu was mistaken. He's admitting that Stu was mistaken. That's the story, right? That Stu thought he was working, and he wasn't working. And then he apologized. He said, "I thought you were working." And so he admits here, or he admits also that he admits that they thought he was a wrestler, right? So he does admit that. He understands there's been a misunderstanding, right? Which again, if you're an adult human being, worthy of any kind of logic within you, you would say like, let bygones be bygones, especially if you didn't get hurt. That's such an important thing to remember. So there's also this, Raja, even in his own terms, kind of defines what a receipt or a tag back or a get back is, right? This is the popular thing where the guy in the cowboy hat tells him, when you run in there, you make sure you give him his receipt. I told you what a receipt is, right? You tag his shit, right? Essentially is what he says. And so what does Raja think that means?
I'll get it there. Hey, as long as I get my lick back, I'm straight.
As long as I get my lick back, right? So where, like, Raja knows what this is. Raja knows he's supposed to get a lick back. He hit me with the beer can. I get a lick back, a 1-for-1. And he admits it didn't even hurt him to begin with. So I'm not even sure he really should be even getting a tag back, right? This is just insight that he is taking advantage of the situation, and or his understanding of what a proper response is way out in left field, and he again needs to be removed from society, right? This is you can't be like bumping into someone in public and someone might beat you within an inch of your life, right? There's several times in here also where he says, I'm going to hit him for real. He keeps saying things like, for real, it's not staged. I'm going to fuck him up. He also at one point says, here, we'll play it. He knows Stu isn't a fighter. Again, implying he knows the difference between WWE and wrestling and MMA.
This nigga ain't no fighter, but I'm gonna really have to show him, like, nigga, you can't just hit a fucking can on my goddamn face. You know?
See, again, he doesn't say it hurts or anything. He doesn't say that. He says, you can't just hit a can on my face. Again, he feels disrespected, right? He walks into the backstage of a WWE, of a wrestling promotion, right? A guy does an obvious gimmick with an empty beer can. How can you not see what's going on? Even if you don't, right? And you're just mad. The guy didn't hurt you at all. He apologized to you, right? And so is it your understanding that this means you get to hit him 22 times while he's unconscious? You know, this is what I'm saying. Like, there is no misunderstanding here. Like, he knows exactly what he's about to do, or what he wants to do, or what he's going to have the opportunity to do. All right, and this is another one I wanted to get to. He said in here, he's asking the chat, right? He's asking the chat, should I slam him and then hit him, or should I hit him and then slam him, right? Again, showing that he knows what the limitations are. He knows what it's supposed to be, right? He knows that he gets a hit, or like maybe if the show goes on a little bit, if he slams him, right, then maybe he can get another jab in there or something, right? But again, it shows that he knows full well what is expected, right? He knows full well where that line is somewhere, right? He's close, right? In my opinion, he shouldn't be getting any tag backs or lick backs because he didn't even hurt you or anything, and he apologized to you on camera and all that. I don't think he should be getting anything back, right? But even then, let's say he's really pissed and he does feel disrespected, right? Even he here is showing that he knows there's a bit of a limit.
W if I should slam him first and then hit him, or L if I should hit him and then slam him. I'm really going to hit him, I'm telling you. I just don't know if I'm gonna pick him up first or hit him first. I don't know. Because if I punch him and he goes down, then I won't be able to pick him up.
So he says, I'm going to hit him for real. Again, he does this a lot where he knows full well that this is not real, or wrestling is fake. Like, they're not really hitting each other, right? Like, he knows the difference between MMA and WWE. He's understanding, like, kind of what the limits are. He says, if I hit him first and he goes down, I won't be able to slam him. Whereas if I, like, slam him and he gets up, I can hit. Like, he understands, right, that what is a reasonable expectation in the ring here, right? And this even goes further to the slam itself, right? First of all, if you zoom in on his face, like, Raja is infuriated, right? Like, he literally wants to kill this guy on the first slam. And he knows full well the difference between a bump like a slam or a bump in pro wrestling, where the guy almost kind of cradles you and brings you down. It's a nice solid, you fall on your back, right? It's a nice solid, it's called a bump, right? Like it's a safe, clean land, right? You're not supposed to land at an angle or all that kind of stuff. That's how you get hurt, right? And so even the slam itself is so far out of line, and he knows it, right? He ragdolls him and whiplashes him, and he's out on contact, right? So again, he knows what is allowed and what isn't. He knows full well what is reasonable here, right? It just shows his intent was totally different, right? He had way different intentions than what he was kind of letting on. And then one last timestamp that I had that again proves that Raja took advantage of the situation. He knew what some of the parameters were, is a point in which he even says, someone is going to pull me off when I've done too much, right? And so it's almost one of those things where even if he slams him the way he slams him and he's unconscious, and maybe he hits him once or twice, right? And then goes, oh crap. There is some wiggle room, not to me, but I'm saying in terms of having to prove it in a court of law or something to prove intent, right? There is some wiggle room there where he doesn't know what he's doing or something of that nature. But, and this is something that is going to come out, is who said what to who, to Raja, to other people, in terms of what was expected and what wasn't, right? Because he says here that someone is going to pull him off whenever he's done, right? So even if Raja thinks, well, I'm just going to wail on this guy until someone pulls me off, there's even, if you guys have seen the video, someone goes to pull him off and he just keeps going, right? Even when the guy with the ponytail mohawk comes in, he tries to go back again, right? So this is showing his intent of what he knows is acceptable, but then what his actions were. He took advantage of the situation. He knew he was out of line, and his actions and words prove it, right? And some of these outs that they're giving him need to be closed.
Ain't no script, bro. It's not gonna be scripted. I'm telling you that right now.
See, he knows, right? He knows stuff is scripted and not. He's saying this is not going to be scripted. Again, another admission. He's kind of going out of the line here.
But I will tell you guys this. They told me to hit him and just leave. Somebody will pull me off of him will leave. I'm telling you. I'm going to hit him as many times as I can. Watch.
Again, he goes from I'm just going to give him a lick, right? That's what he said. And now it goes to, I'm going to hit him as many times as I can. And he knows someone is coming to pull him off, right? So even from this moment here, he says, someone's going to pull me off, and then we leave. Even the way he says we leave, I want to know who told him that. That is very suspicious the way that's put. That you're going to wail on, again, his story has changed. So in my opinion, someone has told him something. The script change, even though he's saying it's not a script, he's saying something has changed, right? It's gone from I'm gonna get back to I'm gonna hit him. Maybe I'll pick him up and then hit him. Maybe I'll hit him and then pick him up. To now someone's supposed to pull me off, and I'm just gonna wail on him as many times as I can. Then even when someone comes to pull him off, he keeps going, right? I mean, if you guys have seen the video, so something is to me, it's very suspicious at the end of this, right before he gets in. And when I close this video, I want to leave with, I'm interested how his interpretation of what was expected changed over time. Was it a buildup? Was it someone telling him something different? Was it him the whole time just gonna say, I'm gonna F this guy up if I get the chance, understanding now he thinks he has a green light, or he's gonna use the opportunity to have a green light. But even here he says, someone is supposed to pull me off and then we will just leave, right? Well, I mean, that's not quite what happened. Someone tried to pull you off and you kept going. The guy who first tried to pull him off was some 17-year-old kid, right? Like some probably total deer in the headlights. I'm surprised he even acted, to be honest. And then the other guy comes in and actually gets him off. He tries to go back for seconds and thirds, right? So this is just very odd, like the way it ends here.
But I will tell you guys this: they told me to hit him and just leave. Somebody who pull me off of him will leave. I'm telling you, I'm gonna hit him as many times as I can. Watch.
Again, so and listening to that again, like, did everyone know this? Was this the plan? Someone tell you this, you know, personally or something? So that the ending here is really curious. So that's kind of my video. Right? I just want to tackle those 2 points: that the damage from the beer can was negligible, essentially nothing, and he knows full well what was reasonably expected, right? What he should have done. He knew what the guidelines were within the industry on some kind of level, correct? Or just as a human being out in public, right? This guy didn't hurt you. What do you think he reasonably should get back? And he's saying all the right things, but in reality, like, he really wants to, like, mess this guy up. And he obviously almost killed him, in my opinion. So that's my video. I appreciate it. See you on the next one.